Hi, I'm Christina, and this is New Ways Podcast. Today, my guest is a licensed therapist. Salma, thank you for being back here with me today.
Thanks for having me again. I'm so excited to be back. I love chatting with you.
It's always so much fun, girl. I can't.
Throw that head back.
Oh my gosh. I'm just like, I love chatting with you. I'm like, I love the energy. You just have the biggest smile on your face. You guys, if you're not watching this episode and you're listening, go and watch it. She's a treat. She's really a treat. So today we are kind of just going to have a conversation that hopefully you guys can get some insight from. Who knows? But we are talking about the emotions of doing the work.
Yeah.
You know, and everything that might come up, different perspectives. Who the hell knows? Because we were just talking about all the work that we've fucking done and haven't done and we've seen people go through. And it seems like there's so many different routes you can take on perspectives. Mm-hmm. And some perspectives are good for some people, some other people, things work differently.
Yeah.
So to get the ball rolling, what do you think it means to do the work?
What a great question.
The work.
You know, there's no right or wrong answer, I think. And I think the first part of it is show up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in order to do the work, it's showing up. And I've had a lot of clients come in where they're like, I know I need help. I know I need therapy, but I don't know like what to do or what to talk about. And that's okay. And I think sometimes a lot of people think that they're supposed to have it all figured out before coming to therapy, but like, don't take my job away from me. Do you know what I mean? Like, let me help you.
In my opinion, I'm like, when I feel like I have it all figured out, I'm like, I don't need anybody else. I'm good. Exactly. I got it all figured out. Yeah. Clearly, I'm coming to you because I'm like, please just, it's so funny because I feel like I do very well at controlling my life, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm a train wreck. Other people look at me and they're like, you're doing great, sweetheart. I'm like, thank you. But in reality, sometimes I just really fucking want somebody to tell me what to do or to guide me. I'm like, this shit's exhausting. And when you have a million and other 10 things on your plate, like many people listening might have kids, they're in a relationship, they have a demanding job. Yeah, you're right. Your therapist, your help, whoever you call your coach is supposed to help you figure that out. You don't have to do the shit all alone.
Exactly. And you know, it's a collaborative effort, right? Because there are a lot of therapists out there who, and I've had a lot of clients come in there. And one of the first questions that I ask in our like intake or even in consultations, because I want to know, what are you looking for? Like, what do you feel like you might need in the work that we're doing, in the space that we're going to share together? What's worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? And sometimes people are like, I don't know what I need. I just know I need help. And I'm like, beautiful. That's great. You don't need to know exactly like what you need, but let me ask you this, like what hasn't worked for you? So have you been in therapy before? And what did you not like about that space? Like, why are you not working with that provider anymore? Or why did that therapeutic relationship end? And then some people are like, well, they moved away, or, you know, it's a positive experience. I'm like, so what did that therapist do for you that you were really liking? And they're able to articulate those things. And that helps me give insight to how I might need to show up for them. And also if I have the capacity to show up for them in the ways that they're looking for. I talk like, and I'll tell people from the beginning, I'm like, I will guide. I'm the type of therapist who is very active in the therapeutic space. I do a lot of like, I'm really curious about this thing. You know, you said this thing, and I want to reflect that back to you. And I will do gentle nudges and guidance because I think people need that. And I do it in a way that is not telling people what to do. I remember working with this one client. I wanted her to break up with her boyfriend so badly.
But you're not going to say break up with him. No, guys.
Of course not.
Even though
you should, but I'm not going to tell you to do that.
Gently nudge, no. But yeah, for sure.
It was something that
I do think things have to be people's choices, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the way to navigate around that is also reflecting back what I'm hearing them describe. So you want to live a full life of autonomy and choice, and you are feeling really held back by this relationship. I'm really curious about how that's sort of fitting the values that we've been talking about, or like the work that we've been doing. Like, you're trying to find your voice, you're trying to advocate, you're doing a beautiful job doing that in your workspace and with your friendships. And if I'm being honest, I'm kind of seeing that not happening in your relationship. What do you think about that? You know, being able to sort of gently nudge like around those things. So I'm a pretty direct therapist. Like, especially when I've built the relationship up with my clients, like I'm not coming off the bat just being like, let me tell you about you. But
Yeah.
I feel like I earn that space with them, the safety of being able to call things out. Um,
But you're
because
not even calling things out though. It seems like what you're doing is you're kind of just like picking apart at the pieces and the ego that they've built up to like, or the lies that they've told themselves to keep themselves safe.
yeah,
Yeah. You're not like necessarily telling them what to do. Cause all
correct.
honesty, I'm that human too, where I'm like, don't tell me how to fucking feel. Like, don't
Right.
tell me what emotions I'm experiencing. Cause on a not stereotypical, but like on a baseline level, like therapeutic level, like book level, yeah, you might be thinking something, but you don't know what's going on in my head.
Totally.
You don't know what's going on in my emotions. So I do feel like the best type of therapists, coaches, like doctors, anybody that I've talked to are the ones that just like keep asking questions and digging. You're a guide. I'm such a firm believer that like us as humans, all honesty, we fucking know exactly what we need. We do. It's just somewhere along the way, there's been some wall that's been built up. There's been some ego. A lot of times there's another why behind the why, that you're in this relationship because it's protecting another part of you that doesn't
Totally.
feel worthy of like having this full life. You're not telling them. You're just guiding them to get back to their root and be like, damn, this is actually how I feel.
Absolutely. I love being like in a space of helping call out the contradictions of like, you
Yeah.
want to live this full life that's free, that's, authentic. And then here are the spaces that you're not being authentic. Let's talk about that. Let's get curious about that. What's holding you back from that authenticity? Do you see it? Do you feel it?
Mm-hmm.
And I like using our therapeutic relationship when their wall sort of shows up in the spaces that we are in together. Because it's real life experiences. It's real
Yeah.
life. Like you're doing the thing, like the wall is coming up right now. Let's address that and let's talk about that. And that's what I love about being a therapist as well, is that it's not just the theoretical talking about the work that needs to happen, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of really beautiful moments that happen in the spaces and in that therapeutic relationship. And I tell clients that from the beginning. I'm like, we're building a relationship together right
for
now.
sure.
And this is such an important relationship. That's going to mimic and model other relationships that you have in your life. So when you can be honest or move at the pace that you feel safe to move at, you're probably going to mirror that in other areas of your life.
Oh,
When you're
definitely.
honest about addressing something that you've maybe really struggled to put language on in the space that we're sharing, that's the work. And then you finally have the courage to set a boundary now with a family member
Mm-hmm.
because you were able to find language in therapy.
Yeah. And I don't know if you can relate to this or you've seen it. I'm sure you have, but I live for the moments where you can tell something just clicks. It's like a light goes on in their head. Their eyes just get wide and they light up and they're like, oh my gosh, like they'll say you're 100% right, even though they came up with the answer.
Totally.
And that only happens to me when they come to the realization
Yes.
themselves. It's like
Yes.
there is something that our brain has to put together on its own in order to bring that to light and to really resonate with you.
Absolutely. I remember this one client. This was so I specialize in eating disorders, and I was like years ago I was working at this day treatment center, and it was working with adolescents. And for the most part, adolescents are not willingly being like, I want to go to day treatment and I want to be taken out of my life and doing therapy.
Oh, definitely not.
They're not. And so I remember having this one client, and I love working with teens. I love working with all of my clients, but this particular client, it was so interesting because I think it was about like almost an entire month of our sessions were just, I don't want to be here. 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 And I just held that space because clearly she wasn't ready to address, why are you even here? Because we don't just sign people up for therapy and your insurance isn't covering this program just for fun.
So she was there because her parents told her she needed to be there or something
Parents
like
and
that?
doctors, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a day treatment center where you need to meet medical criteria for needing this level of care.
Yeah.
So like there's clearly evidence of why you need to be here. And it's not my job to sit there and necessarily throw back, well, your heart rate is really low and you've lost X amount of weight. And so,
I'd be like, thank you for stating the fucking obvious.
Exactly. They know that,
Yeah.
right? They know that. And they have to come to that realization. She had to come to that like recognition of like, what I have been doing in my life has led me to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the hardest things, especially with eating disorders, is that for a lot of people, it's not just this bully in their head that's like, you're not enough, you're not enough. For a lot of them, it's how do we get you to be a person that people will like and love and be respected. I've had so many people have the experience where their eating disorder has helped them be better at their sports, be better at their academics, be more liked. People started talking to them. They gained more friends. So if you're eating
Because of their eating disorder?
because they lost weight. I mean, we also live in a culture where
Oh yeah, we idolize like
yeah,
unrealistic expectations, to be
right.
honest with you. Yeah.
Right. And so when they have more discipline around like their food and their nutrition
Yeah.
and their body, it translates into discipline around other things. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they're taking risks, they're playing better in their sports. There's all of these things. Anyways, I'm
Yeah.
saying 7 different stories right now, but my point is it was week after week and it was about a month of her being in treatment and the same conversation over and over again. And I really loved being in that space with her because what you were saying with the light going off, I could see we were sort of etching
Yeah.
away. We were slowly cracking it until one day she came in and I was ready to talk about the same thing of just like, yeah, you're so mad at your parents for bringing you to treatment and they took you away from your home. And, she had also traveled like across the world to be in treatment here. Like it wasn't even
Oh,
like,
wow.
she lived in California, she across the world. And she walks in and she just, the waterworks just, and she was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm like, you don't want to do what? And it sort of, but that was her journey. Like, it was not my job to tell her like, well, you're in treatment. Like you got to do the work. She had to come to that. And the work that was all the work, like the month of her doing that. And then from that moment on, the commitment that she had to her own recovery and defining what her recovery would be, that's the work, right? Like being patient in those spaces. It's not my job to tell you what your healing journey should look like. It's not my job it is my job to guide you, but it's not my job to dictate what that should look like. I will support you and guide you, but I'm going to get it wrong because I'm not you.
Yeah.
And I should
like
get it
I need
wrong.
you to give me something, and if you don't give me anything, I have nothing to give you either.
And I was so proud of that moment too, of her and of myself for the patience of just trusting the process that she needed that time to be frustrated.
I was going to say, do you think it was just the time that triggered it in her?
Yeah, because there's a persistence of like, you're not well.
Yeah.
And you're in treatment for a reason. And whether you like it or not, like your parents love you so much that they're going to let you hate them so that they can help you heal and be recovered and be healthy enough to be able to live a healthy life. Because realistically, what we know about eating disorders, it kills people. You're withering away. You're slowly dying with an eating disorder.
Oh, for sure. It has such a bad impact on the body.
Yeah.
Such a bad impact.
Yeah. And it's such a slow sort of impact that for a lot of, that's what I'm saying. For a lot of them, like I've had clients who they just go for their physical and they think everything is fine. They've been playing amazing at their sport. They were literally just at a game yesterday. And then the doctor is just like checking their heart and they're like, you need to go to the hospital right now.
Yeah.
Like your heart rate is way too low. And how insane is that to be one day living your full life, feeling like everything is fine and then literally getting ripped away. So I totally understand also her journey of feeling like, why would you pull me from my life? Everything was fine.
Yeah.
Was fine.
Oh, I completely agree with that. And I do like how you were like, I was so proud of us for just being patient because like it is a world when a lot of times it does take moments for us to just like, initially when something happens, most of us don't acknowledge what is happening right away.
Yeah.
We need time to adjust to it and see what's actually coming to fruition. So I do think that like visiting you on a weekly basis, daily basis, I don't know how much was just like the pressure building and her actually having a realization where it's like at first she might have been in denial or not realized the impact of everything that was going on. But when you do give yourself the time, everybody thinks like you have to give yourself the time to reflect and figure things out and also to feel those fucking feelings. I told you just a minute ago, I'm like, I'm such a firm believer in hitting the motherfucking wall. Like let those emotions build up. Let yourself get angry. Let yourself get frustrated. Let yourself realize actually what is going on. Stop distracting yourself with the outside world and the outside noise and actually allow yourself to see what is happening. Hit the wall because that is what's going to give you the momentum to get back up and move forward.
For people that have been so controlled with their emotions, and not necessarily in like this like over controlled way of just like, I don't let them like seep out, but we can be so like intentionally or unintentionally calculated about what we let people see of ourselves.
Completely.
That a lot of the fear that comes up is like, if I allow myself over that hurdle, if I let myself get angry, I don't even know who I'm going to be on the other side.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of fear around, I can't let loose. I can't let this emotion out because I don't know if I can rein it back in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially with like traumas, for example, where like you let yourself be so angry and so mad and grief and doing all of that stuff, allowing yourself to feel the emotions. There's a fear that I don't know how to stop it. What if I don't know how to stop it? What if letting it all out ruins my life, ruins this put together version of myself that I have done? But also, what if the person on the other side of that is a better version of you because you're being more honest and authentic and letting go of the things that you feel like you're not allowed to let go of?
Definitely. I do think there's a multitude of things that can go into that, to be honest with you. I do think as a society, like it might not even be like scared of those emotions. Yeah, definitely scared. But it's like we're scared of those emotions also because we've never actually allowed ourselves to feel them. We've never actually allowed ourselves to encounter them because unfortunately, like we don't live in a society that actually lets us take the time to feel our emotions or acknowledge them. It's really hard to focus on one thing when in the back of your head you have the other 10 things you're going on. Okay, so something happens to you in the morning that honestly you should allow yourself to process, but you can't. You have to go throughout your life, and then it is stored in your body and it's constantly in the back of your head because you've never acknowledged it. So like I do think then when you want to revisit it later, it's even more scary because you're like, this isn't even prevalent right now. I have to remember this old emotion that I've never experienced before, and our bodies and our brains are trying to keep us safe, and we're safe in the known. So if this is an emotion coming up that we've never experienced before, that's also why it's scary, as well as you're kind of right. If I do let this out, like, who am I? And I think in my healing process, and this is not for everybody, my faith has probably been one of the most influential things when it comes to me healing, because my faith and like everything is working out for me, not against me. The one thing that's consistent in life is that nothing's consistent. So if I think right now this is going to fucking break me, it's not going to break me 10 years from now.
Right.
Like reflection and faith have been the two biggest things in my life where I'm like, that's what carries me, because it just allows me to trust. You know, because a lot of times we do think that like the moment that we're like, yeah, be present, but we also think things are going to last forever. But something that's been proven to me time and time again is that nothing lasts forever, but I'm still okay.
Yeah. And also like, what is like breaking? You know, like what if I don't remember the term for it, but that proverb of where like the gold is painted in, like it's like a broken bowl, and then you can cut that out.
Well, I know not even that. So I think there's actually, I don't know if it's Rumi yet. Sorry if this is the wrong poet, but there's this one poem that's literally like, not poem, it's like maybe a poem. I don't know. But there's this one saying where they're like, I just had to keep breaking my heart and breaking my heart until it was broken open.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like we're so afraid of like the breaking, the journey of breaking.
Because it's been perceived as a bad thing, though, to be honest with you.
Well, and there's a lot of stigma, you know, for men, for women, for non-binary, like all of the just the judgments against like what do emotions do, and how are people perceived? Like women who are firm and confident in a workplace get called a bitch.
Yeah, they're troublesome.
Yeah.
Because God forbid I challenge the way that you fucking think. And I'm sorry, only insecure people will ever be mad at you challenging the way that they think. Anybody who is secure within themselves and has something in this world, I feel like when you challenge their belief, they're like, let's fucking go.
Because it makes them have to, like, you force them to have to change the boundaries that they've been comfortable with you.
Yeah,
right?
Completely.
So, yeah.
No, that's such a like loaded type of question too, because even when you said that, I'm like, I definitely believe in that quote, like breaking your heart so many times until it breaks open. Because like there were so many moments in my life where I'm like, my heart's been broken so many fucking times. Like I used to joke, I'm like, no man can ever break my heart because my father was the first one to do it anyways. Yeah. And I'm like, that's dark and that's deep. But at the same time, I'm like, to me, I found hope in that because I'm like, okay, I've been broken so many times. That just means I have so much more to fucking give. It's because I'm not like closed anymore. But then at the same time too, I have this weird relationship with the quote unquote healing journey. Cause in my mind, I'm like, I was never broken. I don't think anybody in this world is actually as like, I think everything's broken? Perfect.
You know, like it's like the language and the semantics that we're using puts such a pressure on like, you know, broken has this association with being negative and bad. And I hear what you're trying to do. You're just like, I don't think like it's not bad. It's not wrong. And I think that's also, I mean, I think we also need to just be like in an era of like finding new language for the things that we're trying to describe because of the associations that it has, like calling it healing. I know there's, and you're putting it in quotes and stuff. And it's like, it doesn't quite feel like healing. I'm not broken to need the healing. I'm just on a journey of like continuing my self-discovery and evolving as a person, you know?
I definitely think changing the language would help for sure. But I also think it's like training people to not be so attached to the language in the first place also, because like, now we're coming up with all these different words to be more socially acceptable and more caring. And I love that for sure. But I'm like, I just hope we also live in a world where human beings aren't so offended by a fucking word.
Yeah. And I think, here's my take on that, because I think I see both sides of it. Like, language is what helps us communicate and understand one another. So yes, it's less about the needing to find better language so that we can communicate, and maybe it's more about finding better skills to listen and understand. Listening to understand somebody rather than listening to like respond or like
judge what
we
saying.
already know. And so I think the semantics is important because it helps us find common language to communicate, but it's not about the specific words that we're using. So like the words that I'm using to help you understand what I'm trying to say is, I need to find language that you understand what I'm trying to say, not language that is just universal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, completely. I do think that language is one of the most valuable tools for sure. But to me also too, the unspoken things in life, that's where I'm like, one of my friends can come up to me and probably say the harshest thing in the world to me. And it might sting a little bit. Like, it's not going to sting the same way as I feel like they're saying it ignorantly or facetious. Like, I do believe in an energy thing. And that's why I believe in like the company you keep, the communities that you have around you, how you view yourself is some of like the key things. I don't know what it is, but ever since I've formed a really good relationship with myself, I don't get angry anymore. I don't take anything that fucking personal. You know what I mean? And I think that's why like it's really good we have these conversations about like people being different and who they are, and like nothing's bad or nothing is good, because then it just opens up the room for once again, like you said, understanding versus like conflict and through communication.
Think, it's funny. Again, I was having this other thought on my drive here today because I was thinking about how language can actually be a barrier to our communication. And I think about like, we were not born with language. We learned language as a secondary form of communication. We were born somatically experiencing the world, right? Like babies and every stage of human development early on was all about the physical experience of the world, right? Like babies are putting everything in their mouth. They're using their mouth to explore the world. And I'm not saying we should go back to putting things in our mouths to explore the world. Sure. But I do think that there is value in the somatic work of, sometimes we need to stop trying to find language and words and verbalizing the things that we're experiencing. And we need to work more on embodying it. Yeah. I think that's something that we've gotten like too far away from. And sometimes the work is about allowing your body to feel things through fully and getting and building that connection with your body and understanding at a core what your body is experiencing and how your body radiates emotional pain or radiates love. Like, where do we feel it in our bodies? When I ask clients this, most of the time they're like, I don't know.
People are so disconnected from their body. Like, it's actually kind of crazy to me, to be honest.
They're putting words on it. They're like, well, it feels like, and then they go into all of this verbal like vomit of just all of the things that they're thinking about. And I'm like, I respectfully don't care what you're thinking about right now. I want to know, what are you physically feeling?
Yeah.
Because
and it doesn't have to make sense either. So many things in my life that I try to articulate, to be honest with you, in my body, it feels so right. In my head, even I can kind of like explain it, but not in the human necessary language.
Yep.
But like, it's so hard to put things into words sometimes, and that's okay. But we all are fighting for the perfect words to describe everything, but there's no perfect
because
words.
We want to be understood.
Yeah.
We want people to see us truly.
Completely. And like
something is coming.
Yeah, no, for sure. But like two things in regarding language, to be honest with you. And this is what I find so cool. Because if you asked me before I started like my whole traveling journey and really getting to know people, like I genuinely can say that I love people. I can say also I hate certain people, not like hate, but like I love being alone. I do not like being in big crowds, and I'm not a big person for a mundane conversation, to be honest with you. But when I do meet people that resonate with me, we can communicate not necessarily through words, but also just like through ideas. Those are the people I thrive in. So, it's like both sides of the thing. I love people. Do I want to be around them all the time? And then I can
have my solitude.
Yeah. But when I started traveling is when what you're kind of saying really came to light for me, is because now I have so many friends that they barely speak English, to be honest with you. And I don't speak this other language.
And they're probably the most profound relationships that you've had.
Oh my gosh. Cause it's like an energy type of thing. It's like, I see the smile on your face. I see the way that we look at each other, and we can have like this very, very basic level of conversation, but like, it's still so in depth because we understand what we're trying to get across.
This is, so fun fact about me, I do clown work.
Okay.
Let me just drop that information there.
Love that.
And what I really, so I mentioned to you before, I do a lot of like improv.
Yeah.
And through improv, I sort of found this space of like clowning. And what I've been really loving about the space of clown work is it's all about embodiment. It's less verbal. And there's some work around like clowning that like uses like language and words, but there's been a lot of classes that I've taken. And I remember this one class, and it's just such an experience that like sits with me, where there was a lot of people in the room, and we were doing all of these exercises in this play and things like that. We never went around the room and gave each other names. Well, not gave each other, like we didn't introduce ourselves to one another. We just sort of immediately, we got into this space. It was this big like dance studio, and we just started doing the work. We were playing, we were dancing around. There were exercises where you're like making eye contact with people and you're really connecting. And there was no words in any of this. And I can't tell you, I don't even know how to put into words the description of like what I felt and how connected I felt to this room of people. Yeah. And I just remember walking out to my car being like, I know no one's name. And it did not fucking matter, because I felt so connected to people, and the way that we were all showing up and all connecting and wanting to be in that space together. And it was just such a reminder of, again, going back to our innate nature. We were not born with verbal language. We were born to communicate through sound. And again, I'm not saying let's go back to primitive times and communicate through sound. But actually, let's go back to communicating.
There's
through our
other forms
bodies.
of communication besides just what's spilling out of your mouth 24/7.
Yes, like the silence in therapy, for example. So many people are
There's so much healing in silence. Yes. Oh, so many people are so scared of it.
I used to be one of them. And I remember like always feeling like I had to fill the space of silence. And now I breathe into it, because our brains are still working. Our bodies are still working. Like they're still feeling through the things. Yeah. So let's give it the space and the time to just feel.
Oh, for sure. To me, one of the biggest red flags, to be honest with you, is if you constantly feel the need to fill the silence with pointless conversation. Yeah. To me, I'm kind of just like, you don't feel safe within yourself, do you? Because God forbid you sit in the quiet and you actually allow yourself to feel your body. A lot of times it's very uncomfortable. And that's why you have to start talking.
And those are the moments that I have found, especially after doing like clowning and like improv and just being a therapist, when I'm able to sit with somebody and just being quiet with them and feeling safe in it. That's also another thing to pay attention to. If you're able to sit in the silence and feel comfortable and safe in it, that matters. If there's sort of this energy that's sort of like, I'm uncomfortable, like, should I say something? What should I say? We should listen to that too, in terms of what is that about. But I felt the most connected when I can just be without having to say words and just exist in a space. How beautiful is that? That there's no pressure to have to perform or say or do anything, and we can just be here together.
Yeah. All honesty, I get so many like downloads and insightful things that like, and once again, that's also calming the thinking in your mind too. And my opinion is like, we have to shut off the voice internally as well as externally. But I just get so many cool little things that pop up when I do sit in the silence, and walking out, you're able to address life a little bit more clearer. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard of Vipassana. I feel like I talk about it all the time on here, but it's been so cool. So Vipassana, and this is when we talked about the other episode. You guys go and watch it. It was great. We talked about different types of therapies and ones that are hopefully cheaper. Vipassana is a 10-day silent meditation retreat.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, completely free. They house you, they feed you. You don't pay a fucking dime. It's donation based, and they never force anybody to donate. They don't even let you donate until you've completed your course. Wow. Yeah. So, and that was something where it was 10 days complete silence.
You did it?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And everyone's like, you talk all the time. How? And I'm like, because honey, I love the quiet too. And it was challenging, to say the least. Sure. 10 days is a very long time to be in silence. No phone, no reading, no writing, just you, your thoughts, meditation, eating, walking. That's it. But it's so funny because they split men and women, but I was in like an area with women. There's probably like 30 of us for 10 days straight. We didn't say a single word to each other. The second we could all actually talk, we didn't say too much, but we all felt like best friends after, because we just went through such a cool experience together, and we were all in the same headspace going into it, being a part of this thing.
There's something so beautiful about shared experience.
Yes.
You know, and the way that we connect. And again, we go back to this innate part of us. I mean, and again, like if you look at like emotions across the universe, across the world, the aliens do this too. They smile in the same way.
I feel like we're connected to more things than are just in this little like 3D. What are we in the 3D world? Is that what we are in? I don't know, this realm.
This place that we're in.
Yeah, I do believe there's different energetical forces, but we're not going to get into that.
Emotions are universal.
Yeah.
Right? They look the same. You look at what does happiness look like with somebody in America versus somebody in like a rural part of Indonesia. Like, you know what I mean? Like it looks the same. And it's so... We have to get back to recognizing that we are not taught these innate emotions. What we are taught is how to feel about our emotions.
I think we're taught to judge our emotions,
Absolutely.
like label them for sure.
Absolutely.
I think you mentioned this briefly in the very beginning. I'm like, once we learn how to have a healthy relationship with our emotions, that's when things start to open up because our emotions are guides. They're not something to label, put in a box. They're not something for us to
judge, to be afraid of, to shut down, to be like, no, this shouldn't.
You're supposed to fucking listen to them.
Yes.
You're supposed to sit with them,
They're
listen,
giving
say,
you
why
information.
am I feeling this way?
Absolutely.
And listen to them to move forward.
Absolutely. And the problem is that we have learned to mistrust them. We've learned to judge them. We've learned to ignore them. I mean, we need to get back to trusting the intuitive parts of ourselves that are there because they will always protect us and take care of us. It is our interpretation of them that changes how we deal with them, right? If I'm afraid of my anger because maybe I've had a pattern of like yelling and getting really, dysregulated in my anger is not the problem. It's the behavior and it's the yelling and the getting dysregulated and the throwing things or, I behave in a way. But the anger itself isn't a problem. But over time, we've learned to attribute, well, my anger is a problem. And then suddenly we're going to anger management
because you're being
classes.
reactive and not proactive with your emotions. That's when it's a problem.
Or we're just not understanding and listening to them in a way that is guiding us in terms of like, why are you even getting angry? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's address
to me, that exactly. Because that's going to guide you how to move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're in a dynamic or a situation where you're constantly getting angry or you're constantly, feeling disempowered. I've been in workplaces like that where I don't know how to hide my emotions. Like you will see it on me. I remember being like in this workplace and I was just so mad at like the system. To the point where like I didn't even realize that my body was doing this. Like somebody would be like the round table talking about something and I would just be in such disagreement. I would push my chair away from the table and I'd sit back like this, like watching everybody. And then I'd have my manager like text me. She was like, hey, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And she was like, look at how you're sitting. I was like, oh, let me pull myself back. Let me be professional in this setting. But our bodies give us such valuable information. And it's sad for me to say and like look back, but also it was like a learning lesson for me. But I ignored
many things are,
I ignored what my body was telling me. I was underappreciated in that work environment. I was not listened to. So many things about that space. And it took me years to do something about it and to do something healthy for me about it, like getting out of that environment. Instead, I kept feeling like I had to prove my worth and I gave more and I would stay at the workspace like 4 hours later than the time that I was supposed to stay. And I'm doing all of this extra stuff. And then furthermore, I was in a work environment that was like, well, you're doing all this extra work for us. Thank you. Why don't you keep showing up and doing it rather than having supervisors or being in an environment of like, you're doing enough. This is not the way to get ahead kind of thing. You know what I mean? And
no, for sure. A lot of companies will be like, more, please. And it's like...
Because if I'm going to give it for free, why would they not take it for free? But my body never betrayed me. It was my interpretation of what my body was telling me. And I was like, well, I'm just not working hard enough. Or like, I'm the one that keeps getting it wrong. And like that example of being at the table and pushing myself away. Well, that narrative became more about like, I'm being ineffective. And that's why I'm not getting like these other opportunities because I keep showing up in this angry way. And it's like, no, girl.
I love too when people oftentimes correlate, and aging is definitely a real thing. I don't want to diminish that, but I love when people correlate like, oh, you're feeling drained. Oh, you're feeling tired. You're just getting old, honey. And I'm like,
ew, get out of here.
No, I can't tell you how many times we're like, because I've done so many different jobs in my life, so many different environments, so many different types of places. And I can't tell you how certain places, because when you put yourself in these different environments, you see the difference. You oftentimes don't know better until you do better. And once you're in a better environment, you're like, fuck, that was actually killing me. like now that I can distinguish the difference, I can tell right away when I walk into a place and I'm like, this is not age. My body should not actually be feeling like this. And then you finally get a space off and you feel good. That's why so many people, it's funny when they take time off for the holidays or they like take time off for a vacation, they actually feel good again and they don't feel weighed down. And they're like, oh, I just got to go back to work. It's the regular grind. I'm like, work is not supposed to be that way. Life is not supposed to be that way.
But then we like ignore that body signal.
We've normalized feeling miserable for $1. And I'm sorry, but like my life isn't up for sale.
We have to stop.
Yeah. No, for real. Like my life, it's not for sale. There's not a fucking dollar amount you could put on it. Like nobody's telling me where to be, how to feel, or this and that.
But it's so hard. It's also so hard when you're living in a society, because here's the thing, like here's what's challenging about that like sometimes we get to this like sort of threatening place of either I show up and I do extra or I don't have this job. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's scary.
I've been there. It is for sure scary. I mean, I'm curious how you address it, but how I addressed it was I decided to have faith that there's more out there. And once you do it the first time, it gets easier to do it again and again. Yeah. Exposure therapy, because when you first do it, you realize that like, I did this thing and I'm safe. And now that I had the energy, I was able to think creatively and put myself in a different environment where I made money again, if not more, and it felt better. But you have to take yourself out and try to find a new avenue in order to have that realization that you can do it. Yeah. But it is scary for sure.
Absolutely. For me, it was hitting like a true like rock bottom, just like the misery. The rock bottoms. It was such a pivotal like time for me. And my body was giving me all of the signals that I honestly was just like ignoring and pushing away. At that point, I hadn't really done like the work on my own trauma. And it was showing up more and more. And I intuitively knew I'm not happy and I'm not living a full and healthy life. And something had to change because I wouldn't be here. Like I'm not going to survive like this. And my body was really responding to it. Like the way that my body holds stress was like devastating. Like I look back at it now, like it felt really like heavy and devastating because like my body was unhealthy. And it wasn't because I was necessarily like having unhealthy behaviors with like food or exercise, any of that. It was just the way that the cortisol was shooting through my system and just impacting my well-being. I was killing myself. Like slowly killing myself from all of the stress and then feeling like I had to stay in that stress.
See, and I love how you kind of brought that up because looking back now, because I've been like talking about these topics. I got certified as a coach, like 4 years ago now, and I've been doing this for a minute. The reason why I started in the first place is because I can't tell you how many times I would see people in a hospital bed, young people, and it makes kind of, in my perspective, it made no sense why they were there, right? Like these diseases started popping up. Their blood pressure was extremely high. They were freaking out and needed like antidepressants and Xanax and stuff like that, heavily drinking, hiding themselves in different substances. And I sat back and looked around one day and I'm like, why are people doing this? And I do think it's also because people correlate stress with like macro stressors, right? Like the moment where your blood pressure does spike really, really high and you get heated. But I'm like, you do realize like you tolerating things that are not your ideal or you tolerating things that actually upset you on a day-to-day still spikes your cortisol. Even if it's not this like huge thing, you're still in a fight or flight mode. You're still not resting. You don't feel safe when you're in an environment that you don't like. And those little stressors every single day, even though they're manageable, add up. And a lot of people in the medical field will argue that many diseases are created solely from stress because when your cortisol is raised, your body's not functioning right. Everything it's a chain effect.
It's literally like imagine poison constantly shooting through your veins over and over
it has its
and over
place.
Again.
Cortisol is supposed to be there for a moment to save your life, to help you move forward, but it's not supposed to be an everyday thing. And we are going to these jobs, we are putting ourselves in these environments or these situations every fucking day. Yeah. And it's a chain effect. The cortisol affects every other organ of the body, every other way that you live your life. And I was like sitting there in a hospital looking around and I'm like, why do I feel like everybody is dying from things that they should not have to die for? Yeah. Because like, are you really living them? What does your life cost to you?
Yeah. Well, and it's such a double-edged sword because we're also in systems that reinforce killing ourselves over our jobs.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and so it's, you know, the big question is like, how do we break out of like the systems that we are trapped in?
Yeah, I think that's a loaded question.
Yeah, it's rhetorical, you know?
I mean, I definitely have my own perspectives for
Yeah.
sure. But once again, my own perspective, and I'm sure your perspective, anything we're saying here too, I don't want to say that it's God or that like it's going to
Sure.
fix everything, because I'm a risk taker. I'm also like a calculated risk taker. I also believe in like magic and the good things in the world. So I'm like, and I'm also a single white female here living in LA who's already pretty abundant, and I don't have people relying on me. So what I would do to change my life is different
Right.
than the person who obviously
Right. Who
has a
doesn't
lot
have
of other
those, like,
things against
privileges.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to kind of close out then, I think my last question would be, if anybody who wants a change, wants to start listening to their intuition and their emotions more in any realm, regardless if it's changing their life or just changing the way they react to their basic things, what would you say would be most beneficial?
You know, I'm going to keep it simple again.
I love that.
You know,
we love simple.
yeah.
We don't have to overcomplicate shit.
Yeah, I think a good place to start is do something different. Try something different. And I think getting comfortable with it might not work out, but that's not the point. It's not trying to figure out the right thing to do, because I think that is what paralyzes us, that like we feel like we have to figure it out first before we try it. But there's a lot of learning and growth and discovery that comes from just trying. And it helps sort of navigate through the muck. If I try something and it doesn't work out for me, well, then I know that I'm not going to try that again. If I try another thing and it doesn't work out for me, well, I know I'm not going to try that again. I try another thing and it works out for me. Well, now I found you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I just stay stuck at that beginning of the path and I never clear the path for myself, I never even try, well, then I'm going to just be stuck.
Yeah.
And so try something different, and without the expectation that it has to work. More so with the expectation of just, I'm going to do something different and see what happens. I just want to learn here. If we can go into these experiences of like, I am here to learn, then you're doing the work.
Yeah. But if you learned one thing, isn't that working? Isn't
Exactly.
that a success still?
Exactly.
It might not be your idea of success.
Exactly.
It might not be, but like,
And we need to loosen the grip on
yeah.
what that definition of success is.
No, completely. Yeah.
Yeah. So my simplest and straightforward answer to that question is just try something different that you have not tried yet.
I love that. Thank you. I mean, like, you were like, I'm going to keep it simple. And that is simple, but like so complex at the same time,
Totally.
right?
Because then it's, you know, I've had so many people, and this is what I also appreciate about like being a therapist sometimes, where like, because my brain is so creative. Like sometimes it runs faster than I can even like catch up with it. And I'm like,
Oh,
I have
for
so
sure.
many
I can
ideas. I want to
relate.
do so many things. And I love being in that space of helping people where they're just like, I didn't even think about that. And I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, how did you not think about that? I'm like, it feels like just such a, you know, you like a simple thing of just like, I'm usually quiet when I'm angry. So the different thing that I'm going to do is to say something. I'm just going to say no. And it's like, but it's, for a lot of people, it's such a profound and different thing, because you're going against a system that has been so ingrained inside of you that I don't say no, or I don't go against what somebody else is saying. I'm going to be the problem. Like, try to be the problem. Let's see what happens.
No, honestly. And
Say no, you don't want to go to that movie with your friends, and suggest a different movie, suggest a different restaurant. What's going to happen? Are they going to stop being your friend? I'm sorry.
And if that's
they're
the
going to
case,
stop being your
that's
friend,
not
they're not
friend.
good friends.
For sure. No, for sure.
Right?
I could not agree more with everything that you have said, to be honest with you. And I just want to thank you again for being here with me and offering your amazing insight.
Thank you.
And to remind you guys, I will be posting all of her information, how to get a hold of her, and her social security number. I'm kidding. No, not that. I will be posting
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that, how many numbers are there?
I have no idea. I know, right? I will be posting all the ways to get a hold of her in the description in this episode. And once again, just thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Such a pleasure.
Oh, and thank you guys for listening. Until next time, I love you. Boop.
Yeah.